Our top story today, Judge Engoron was accused of banging the secretary of the opposing counsel in a previous case. We are covering this story and so much more coming up on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and it seems that the accusers of Trump are wrapped up in their own scandals. This time, we're talking about Judge Engoron, who was accused of banging his secretary of the opposing counsel in a previous case. Jim Hoff reports, the creepiest picture is him here taking shirtless pics. Seems rather immature for a judge. On Friday, far-left judge Arthur Engoron fleeced $355 million from President Trump for taking out loans in New York State and paying them back on time with interest. The charges were brought against Trump by crazed New York State Attorney General Letitia James, who herself is in her own scandal, or at least her previous lovers. There were no victims in the so-called crime. The banks did their due diligence before they loaned Donald Trump the money and testified that they would gladly do it again. Now, Judge Engoron called this a crime and ruled that President Donald Trump owed the state $355 million. But that's not all, as Vlog Conspiracy reported that Engoron also put a Clinton-appointed judge in control of Trump's business empire in New York State. Judge Engoron also appointed retired U.S. District Judge Barbara Jones to continue her role as an independent monitor of Trump's business empire, but expanded her authority to review financial disclosures before they are submitted to third parties. Judge Jones can hire an independent director of compliance, and she has the authority to compel Trump to sell some or even all of his business down the road. This is all punishment for Trump allegedly committing fraud by falsely inflating and deflating the value of his real estate assets to pay lower state taxes and to receive more favorable loans from the banks. Now, this is the definition of tyranny. New York State just stole President Trump's company from him because they don't like his politics. But it gets worse. Judge Arthur Engoron, a committed Democrat, has ruled repeatedly against Trump, held him in contempt, and fined him $110,000. But according to reports, Judge Engoron has been married 3 times and has 4 children. But Arthur Engoron is no Boy Scout. Engoron was banging the secretary of the opposing counsel during a previous case, a complete ethics violation. Now, the Jewish Telegraphic Agency reported this in 2002. That Nathan Lewin, a defense attorney for the Union of Orthodox Rabbis of the United States and Canada, said the court's January 23rd ruling against his client in several pretrial decisions is suspect because of that relationship, of which he was not informed of until late last month. He goes on to say that Lewin is defending the rabbis in an $11 million defamation suit filed by Helen Shai Seeger of Borough Park, who claims her decision to allow her husband to remarry without requiring him to grant her a rabbinic divorce, in effect labeled her an unfit spouse. Now, Lewin said in the court papers that the law secretary, Arthur Engoron, claims he only began dating the secretary of the opposing counsel, Christopher Sullivan, on May 10th. But Lewin said Sullivan's actions in the case may have been influenced by information that he received from the woman identified in the papers only as Sue. And Lewin noted that Engoron was drafting later decisions and communicating with the judge about this case during the time that he was dating Sue. Now, Schoenfeld, at the request of the defendants, recused himself from the case July 1st after revealing that he had recently learned of the relationship. He said that Engoron's conduct raised ethical questions that he would report to the appropriate authorities. Now, you can get more of that story at thegatewaypundit.com, but of course, there's sexual blackmail involved in all of these cases, most likely. There's manipulation, and we're finding very, very questionable relationships from Letitia James, all the way looking at Fannie Willis and Judge Engoron. We know these people were not picked because of their upstanding moral character, but because of their ability to take revenge on Trump and implement regime politics. Another top story today is that Trump is sharp. Despite being accused of many heinous things, he seems to be rather clean. But Biden can't say the same for himself, as his battle with the teleprompter shows that he's not only short-circuiting, but he's completely lost it. Watch this clip from RNC Research and tell me what you think. Has Biden lost the plot, or are we all going crazy ourselves?
And I thought I'd make a lot more sense to relieve student debt for families and it would grow our economy. Well, there were existing programs in the law to fix and adjust the programs. We had to change them to make people actually make them available for people, make people.
The dude has no idea what he's talking about. He can't even read a teleprompter. Now that's what's crazy. Now this show is not teleprompted at all. I don't read any script. I do read articles, but this is all made up off the top of my mind. Now I'm a 30-year-old man. I like to think of myself as somewhat sharp, and I like to say that even I don't feel qualified to run this country, nor do I think I have the intellectual acumen. But when I realize that I see this guy here with less of a capacity to relay, read, and transmute information to the public, I realize he's definitely not running the country. But I'm more concerned with you guys watching. Who do you think is? You can watch this video at thegatewaypundit.com. And of course, to talk about a slightly more concerning story, but with some good news, an update on the current case of gender identity politics in Montana State. Montana State attorney moves to drop the case against the Kolstad family amidst public outcry and a media storm. Jim Hoff reports. Here they are pictured, and the minor's face is blurred. The Valley County attorney Dylan Jensen filed a motion on February 16th to dismiss the contentious case involving the state of Montana and the Kolstad family. The legal maneuver comes after weeks of intense media scrutiny and public pressure, with the state now seeking to terminate its involvement in the family dispute. The case, which had captured national attention, centers around the Kolstad family's disagreement with the state's handling of their daughter's gender identity and associated mental health issues. The state previously sent the daughter to Canada to live with her mother as a punitive measure against the father, Todd Kolstad, for a separate civil lawsuit. For context, the Gateway Pundit previously reported that their daughter was transported to Wyoming, a state with different laws regarding the medical transition of minors, by the Montana CPS. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of this story, but it looks like the state is backing down, as they should. Look, not only is the science not settled on gender identity issues, but we know that these ideas are being communicated effectively through social media to brainwash children. I'm not afraid to actually come out and just admit the fact this is absolutely propaganda. It's a form of intellectual communism and a result of our country leaving foundational standards of Christianity. You don't have to be a Christian to understand that when you reject something as crucial as Christianity was and is to our country, that you leave a vacuum and that many people will seek to fill it, many of which, if you don't like Christianity, are much more sinister than anyone in the church could ever be. These people are looking to change your children's brain forever. And they're coming after our kids, not just to sexualize them, but to infiltrate their minds with gender identity lies. There's no such thing as gender, there's only sex, and there's two of them. The fact that we're even trying to say they're connected is ridiculous because gender doesn't exist. Also, a quick headline that I'd like to mention would be the fact that James O'Keefe had another recent expose where he proved that IRS official told him that the O'Keefe Media Group, that the IRS was using AI to spy on Americans' bank accounts. Is it constitutional? I doubt it, says the IRS official Alex Mena. Again, caught on camera. So they infiltrated the IRS and they claimed they're using this technology to spy on Americans and uncover what they consider to be fraud. Now, we already saw with Gemini, the new AI from Google, that there is an approximate move to wokeify AI and use it to attack our history and our cultural identity. They were erasing white people, making our founding fathers black. When you ask the AI, how did our founding fathers look? They said that George Washington had black skin. So AI is obviously being used as a weapon, but now they're being used as a weapon to monitor our bank accounts. Not only do I not think it's constitutional, I realize it's probably nefarious. That's also to say, keeping a tabs for our next time, we'll also be looking at our story about the turmoil at CBS as Catherine Herridge's firing escalates as the network seizes files that may expose confidential sources, according to a report. We're continuing to cover this story. You can read the rest of the story at thegatewaypundit.com. It talks about how this firing is coming into some very, very serious information. I encourage you to read it. It's emerging, and it's one of our trending stories. For thegatewaypundit.com, I'm Elijah Schaffer. Thank you so much again for watching. Don't forget to hit like down below and follow this channel. These videos are on Rumble and will soon be regularly uploaded to YouTube as well. Thank you so much again for watching. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.